Welcome to the Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon podcast. I'm your host, Captain Matt, and today we have Robert from Dayton, Ohio. Robert has just gone through the process of ordering his first pontoon. It's a Harris. And Robert, thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
So we were on one of the YouTube lives that I do every Sunday at 8:30 Eastern time the other night. One of the Michael, who's been a long time watcher of the videos and the podcast, suggested, hey, it would be great to interview some folks that have recently bought a boat and hear about their experience. So I interviewed Michael that bought a jet boat. Robert said, hey, I would be interested in doing that, sharing my experience. And so here's Robert. We've got another one that's a center console buyer that's on the 10th. But Robert, I appreciate you volunteering to jump on here with me and sharing your experience, because it's a different time. And I think it's valuable for somebody to share, here's what I liked, here's what I didn't, here's what caught me by surprise. So just tell everybody about what you ordered, and then we'll go into the whys and the experience.
Okay. We ordered it's not going to be a 2022 Harris 210. So it's 22 and a half foot, 22 foot 10, something like that. We upgraded to the Performance 1 package, which is the 3/4 center tune. We were back and forth about the 115, the 150. We settled on the 150, which I'm thrilled with. And just added a couple of extra stuff. We added, the swim platform on the back and the ski tow bar, a few minor upgrades as far as, higher helm seats, just some little odds and ends, just more of the creature comforts, I would say, of the boat. So thrilled to have it. We were originally going to wait and build in the spring. Is one of those I just didn't want to pay for it to sit all winter long. By the time we got it, come time end of September here in Ohio, we have snow in October. So, and then we were going to wait and kind of understood that, hey, the price is going to probably fluctuate a little bit, go up, just because of the times and price increases come the beginning of the new year. And actually got a call from my dealer the other day saying, hey, I got your price locked in. We got to build early because the price increase was going to be significantly more than what we had anticipated. I said, you know what, great. Just tell me when I got to come pick it up. So we're set to build here in about 2 weeks, start building, and we'll pick up somewhere in the January, February, March-ish range when it gets. They get
perfect
and stuff like that. So
let's talk about, because I think that's interesting, Robert, is the pricing. It's a weird time. When I was selling boats 10 years ago, it was, hey, 10% deposit, we order it, we lock in pricing, and that's what it is. I never experienced in all the ordered boats I did having to call somebody and saying, oh crap, this is not a phone call I want. But how did they explain it to you, and what was it like dealing with the negotiation as you were going through the ordering process?
So shout out to you. We had kind of been thinking about getting one, and then I stumbled upon your first couple of YouTube videos of, you went through a great detail of the different levels of pontoon Tri-Toons, the manufacturers, who owned what, who owned who. So that was really the kickstart for me. Just watching a couple of your videos, and it was, real quick, I didn't want the, go to Bass Pro Home Depot or Bass Pro or Cabela's and buy just the low end low. But I also knew, the Barlettas and some of those were going to be well outside of my, reasonable price range for what we're doing. I mean, it's one thing when you're trailering it in and out versus living on a lake where you can walk out 50 feet out your backyard, jump on your boat, and you can use it every day. So, watching a few of your videos quickly narrowed it down to, we looked at Harris's, we looked at the Sweetwaters, and we looked at Sun Chasers. Those were kind of where we narrowed it down to.
Good.
We've got some bigger dealers in the Southwest Ohio area. We've got a lot of nice, lakes, and, the Ohio River is only about, 45 minutes to an hour down the road from us. So, going through the options and this and that and the other. And then when we kind of settled on, okay, here's our budget, this is where we're comfortable being. And, the Harris dealer that I had called a couple different Harris dealers, from basically Detroit all the way down to about, Louisville. And the very first phone call I had made when we ever started talking about a boat, our dealer down in Cincinnati, he gave me the best price up front, and his price was better than the Godfreys and, the Sweetwaters and the Sun Chasers, which was a bit of a shock to me, because after having watched your videos, I was anticipate that Harris being, on the higher end, and he actually came in on the lower end, and I was thoroughly shocked. So it made, the purchasing a lot easier. He was very responsive. We worked with a great dealer. I'm a first responder. So Harris was running like a $250 thing, kind of
Nice.
kickback, which was like, you know what? Hey, if it gave me one little extra option that I wasn't going to buy because I got that little bit of discount. So, that was just a nice little perk that I appreciate that, I don't want to say it swayed our decision to go that way. But it helped a little bit. Like I said,
Yeah. Nice to be recognized for what you do.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's interesting. There's a couple, and again, you said a few more interesting things that I really like is you said we narrowed it down to the manufacturers that we liked. And then you started looking at price. You're like, hey, I like these things. I like the dealers. Then you started looking at price and making sure that the dealer was right for you versus just saying, this is the one I'm going to get no matter what. Or I'm going to, I'm shopping everything and I'm just going to take the best deal. You sort of put both of those together in a smart way, which I really think is going to benefit you 5 years from now. You're going to be even happier.
Absolutely. And one of the things we found too was, especially with some of the other manufacturers, was they were having a hard time getting the motors. I would call a couple of dealers and one of the dealers I told, he goes, I've got 30 boats sitting on my lot. I can't get motors for them. And, the Yamahas and the Suzukis and the Mercurys are all, so many weeks out. Well, after again, watching one of your videos and talking with the dealer, coming to find out that Harris falls under that umbrella that, Mercury owns, and our dealer's like, yeah, we can get motors, no problem, as long as we're ordering with the boats. I'm like, well, that's, that was another big seller, knowing I was going to get a boat with a motor ready to go, rather than get a boat and may have to wait 3 to 4 months and hope I get a motor.
Yeah. Having that the Brunswick-owned company is there, it's a big, huge corporation. There are some downsides that come with it in certain respects. But right now in this pandemic, having they're made in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, and hey, they're not sitting off the coast of California waiting to get in here. They're here, and that's awesome. And you probably won't have any delays on your production. Yeah. So as you were going through the ordering process and the shopping experience, this is the first boat you bought, right, Robert?
Yes, sir. First boat.
Okay. What was interesting? What was unexpected? What kind of like, oh shit, I didn't, that really caught me off guard. Anything like that jumps out at you?
Yeah. I mean, believe it or not, the whole process, again, first boat for us ever. And, I guess not realizing that, my parents have had a boat before, with Pontoon, an older one. But again, it's, when you get into the new stuff, just seeing the level of options you can look at, what there is. I mean, just, it was very shocking, just the amount of stuff that you could put on a boat.
Yes.
And then just, you could get a boat for that, that $30,000, or some of the ones, decked out, double motors, this and that. You're up in the hundreds of thousands. Hundreds of thousands for a pontoon boat blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. And kudos to those people that have that lifestyle. I'm not one of them, but yeah, when I was looking at, especially when the Barlettas and some of those higher brands, it was, oh my goodness, I just couldn't, it caught me off guard. All the options you can put on a boat, the different configurations you can put on a boat, and, just how the price point sways from your low end entry model all the way up to your high end luxury, it can almost drive itself models.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, could you tell, you've been around boats, with your family having one, could you tell the difference when you looked at the value models, the Sun Tracker at Bass Pro, to looking at the Sweetwater, the Sun Chaser, the Harris, and then the Barletta? Did you notice, oh, I see the $30,000 difference or the $50,000 difference? Or were you like, I don't get it. Why is this one better than that one?
If you take the time to go look at them in person, if you have the ability, yes, you can definitely tell a difference. And I'm not going to knock any one of them. There's an entry, there's a level pontoon boat for everybody.
Exactly.
So yes, but you will notice the difference when you go look at them. You start off with your Ford Focus and you go all the way up to your Bentleys and your Rolls Royces. You definitely notice a quality difference.
Yep.
Just as far as how things are made, the decking, the quality of the stitching in the vinyl, the way the seats are made up. You can get leather inserts on some of these. We looked at a couple of videos that had rotating bars and mini bars and second decks, and I'm thinking, oh my, it was. So yes, there was a noticeable difference when you start again at that Ford Focus and go all the way up to that Bentley or the Ferrari. Cars and pontoons very, very much the same way. You can plain Jane get you to point A to point B, all the way up to I just want to get on it, relax, and just have the time of my life. And
Yeah. And I think, and it sounds like you did this knowing what you're going to be, you're going to be happy with this. Yeah. There's something better. Yeah. There may be something on the lower end, or, hey, this is the most I can afford, but I'm not going to be taking it out in super rough conditions. I'm not going to be loading it up with 20 people. This is going to fit, make me happy quality wise, and give me the boating lifestyle that I want. And I think that's what's important. There's not a right or a wrong. There is a right for Robert. There's a right for me. There's a right for my neighbor, which could be my best friend, same economic class, but just we have different needs. And I think it's really smart, like what you did, is to pause and think about how are we going to use this and inspect a bunch of them. How many do you think you inspected if you were to?
Overall, and again, when we first started, I looked at some of the Low and some of the, some of the other brands. We went and looked. I personally went and looked at probably 12 to 15 boats.
Good.
Different manufacturers. Had an opportunity to take my wife and the kids down when we went down to not really finalize, but really get good hands on the Harris. And we were very fortunate when we went down that they actually had a boat, another customer boat that had just come in. That was probably a 95% match to what we had ordered. I mean, down to the color and everything. So we really got to crawl around underneath it, look at it, sit in the seats. And that experience alone was great because, I'm a big guy. I'm 6'4", 350. So it's just even sitting in a regular bagged helm seat and having the opportunity to sit in the high back, that was an instant change we made because, oh my God, the seat was so much more comfortable for somebody of my stature.
Right.
So, you get a lot of these people and get out and do the work, do your research online and then get out and put the legwork and go find, if you got to drive 45 minutes to an hour, make a day out of it, take your wife and kids, have a meal, go look at these boats, sit in these boats. Because, like you've said countless times, you don't want to get your boat and realize it's underpowered or the seat's not the way I want it to, or this and that and the other. And you've only got yourself to blame because you'd rather just click around the internet and not get your feet dirty.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I really enjoy going to look at boats, even when I'm not in the market. You said make a day of it. Most of these are going to be in a nicer area, maybe on the water, and you can go check out 4 or 5. They're going to be usually close around 4 or 5 dealers in one afternoon, stop for lunch, maybe on the water. And it can be a family outing. It can be the start of your boating lifestyle, which is perfect. You mentioned kids. What's your family makeup look like?
I've got a 11-year-old and a 10-year-old.
Okay. Both girls?
No, one of each.
Okay, perfect.
We're still in that age group of they still want to hang out with us, but they're starting to get to that point where like, Dad, you're boring, Mom, you're boring. So this was kind of one of those, I don't want to say it's a grasp to get, the more family time back, but that was a big drive was we used to have a camper, didn't get to use it as much as we wanted to just due to, kids sports, a lot of people through. And, we sold the camper and kind of decided, let's get a boat because, we can get done with that baseball game or soccer game first thing in the morning, and we can be on various numbers of bodies of water from where we're located at within about an hour to an hour and a half and have the entire day to just hang out as a family and relax.
Yep. I've got 2 girls that are 7 and 10, and it's the same thing. It's the times right now between when they're 14, 15, it's going to be, it's different. And the good thing about the boat, I grew up with it. When I was in college, my parents would come out. For some reason, my parents let me keep the boat at the marina that I worked at in college. And so I could put it in and be out with my friends. And then Mom and Dad and my younger sister would come out. I lived with my brother in college. And I was spending, when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, I was spending Saturday, Sunday afternoons on the boat with my parents, with my college friends. And they kind of got to keep an eye on me. And, it worked out great. There's something about bringing the family together in that environment that is tough to beat. Absolutely. So what else did you experience? Anything that was, I don't want to say a negative, but anything that you said, man, I wish I would have done this different, or anything that, advice that you have for somebody that's in your shoes 6 months ago? Yeah.
Right now, nothing I can think of different. Just wading through the amount of options, the dealers, the brands. You know, I'm sure once the boat gets here and we get out on the water next spring, I'll go, oh, I wish I would have done that. I wish I, you know, done this. And, you know, unfortunately, some of the things you can either live with them or you can get them tweaked at the end, you know, as long as you start off with a good set of bones. So,
yes,
again, your motor size, your boat size. And the biggest thing, like you mentioned earlier, is everybody's going to have a different boating lifestyle, what they expect. So that's what you need to sit down, I think, and really figure out, you know, whether yourself, your family, your spouse, what kind of boating are we going to do? Are we going to be on the ocean? Are we going to be on, you know, are we more of a lakes, you know, are we more of a rivers type, you know, family, you know, then, okay, you know, setting your family of 4, 5, 10, whatever you have, and go, okay, we'd like to have, you know, so-and-so, this family come with us, this family come with us, making sure you get enough boat and motor for the style of boating and the amount of people you want to have. You know, you don't want to go out and buy a 26-foot boat and have 2 people on it. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yep.
But if you need that 26-foot boat, if you're planning on bringing mom, dad, brothers, uncles, cousins, you know, neighbors next door, and you've got 10, 12, 14 people on a boat, you want to make sure that you're safe, you're enjoying yourself, and you've got the room to do that.
Absolutely. Did you and your wife and your kids sit down and talk about, hey, what do you really want to do? How did you approach that lifestyle question? You had the experience with your family's boat growing up, but how did you approach that?
The kids, they were just excited. You know, they're
boat,
young.
Yes.
Yeah, they can tell us what they want. And it was, as long as they can get on the boat and we can go tubing, that's all they really worried about. But yeah, me and my wife, it was definitely okay. And she doesn't know a lot about the boating, you know, boats, but it was, you know, we sat down again. Kudos to you. Your videos have been fantastic. We just recently purchased the best boat cabin in the water, so she could be more comfortable, because I kind of told her, I said, when we get to that point, it's either you're back in the trailer in the water or you're pulling the boat on the trailer. Figure out which one of these you want to do. And you know, I'll do the other one because I'm comfortable either way. And she, you know, she said, well, let's try the driving thing. I'm like, great. We'll buy the kits, and you can watch the videos. And, you know, come spring when it's cold and there's not a lot of people on the water, we'll go out.
You got it.
Off, you know, pick a random Tuesday or Wednesday. But yeah, sitting down with her, just explaining the different options, going over some things, again, watching, you know, the videos, you know, doing, you know, a lot of these websites anymore are great with like Build a Boat. So you can really get a good idea of what they are, you know, taking, you know, the spouse, whoever it may be, to show them, hey, this is what this does. This is what that does. You know, even just the other day, we were watching one of your videos again, and, you know, you were talking about the lifting strakes, and she was looking at it. She's like, what's those orange things on those tubes? I'm like, those lifting strakes, they're going to get up out of the water a little bit better. Oh, I thought that was part of this, and this. No. And it's all, you know, with us, it was both a learning experience for the both of us. But yeah, just sitting down, talking with her, showing the different options, telling her what this can do, what that can do, was huge. And it made her a lot more comfortable. Good.
I love it when you reference a video and that was the whole point of the channel, is to get that information to make it easier. And that leads me to my next question is, there's so many options, there's so many brands, there's so many ways you configure it. How did you deal with that overwhelm of, oh my gosh, like we want a pontoon and now I've got 20 different brands. I've got Pontoon, Tri-Toon, I've got motors, I've got, you know, high back recliners, low back recliners, fishing options. How did you sort through all of those choices?
It started first with, okay, what are we going to use the boat for? Now we fish, you know, we do fish, but we're definitely casual fishermen. We're not on the lake every weekend trying to catch, you know, the tournaments. So we, you know, that for us, it kind of took the fishing, you know, you can definitely get the boat set up for fishing, the pontoon.
Sure.
Fishing. So we knew that's not what we wanted. Ours was going to be more of, okay, you know, we cast a rod off here, there, sit in the back, relax. It was definitely more of a, from the beginning, we wanted something we can relax on, bring another family with us, 4, 5, 6 people at the most. The kids could tube off the back, we could swim off the back. And then, you know, our area too, you've got, I think, you know, I don't want to say it helped or hurt, but I think it did a little bit of both, where we were limited on, this is the dealers we have, this is the brands they sell. You know, I'm sure, you know, down your area or along the coast, you're a boat dealer every 500 feet. Whereas, you know, in my area, they're few and far between. So I want to say it limited it, but it did, of what brands we could go for, which was fun. I think that helped in the matter of make the decision a little easier, because I wasn't having to sort through 10 or 15, 20 different dealers with 20 different manufacturers. But then it also, I think, hurt a little bit because I didn't have those other options without having to drive a significant distance
Sure.
to those kind of boats.
Okay.
So, but like you see, some of the other options, again, it's going and sitting, putting hands on to see what you're comfortable with, what you like. It is as minuscule as this may sound, of all those, the 3 or 4 brands we looked at. One of the big sellers for me on this Harris, we got the single rear lounger.
Okay.
Their package in the back is, you lift up part of that seat and there's an integrated self-draining cooler in there. And I'm like, every boat should have this. So
I love it.
As tiny as that was, it's like, you know what? That's one less thing I got to have in the middle of the deck, moving around. So yeah, if I could lift up a seat and, have a bag of ice and some Capri Suns and whatever, it was just something so small. It was like, oh, that's, one little check mark in that box that we really liked a lot. And then just having some of the options, knowing we wanted that extra swim deck. And, there's some manufacturers can't provide that. We like the fact that, I will say one thing that the Sun Chaser had, I did like the way their rear deck was set up. They had more of like Harris's, the chains. It's, clip the chain onto,
Yep.
Off the side of the tow bar, whereas the Sun Chaser had more of like a metal door frame.
Okay. Yep.
Which is a little bit more secure. Now, another, minuscule selling point on the Harris that we got was we got the extended railing in the back, and it came with the bumper holders. So rather than have to try and flip a seat up and throw them underneath there, I drop them in these little cages. They're already built in and they're there. I don't have to worry about scrambling to get somebody up off a seat, grab it, slap it on the railing or backing or, pulling up to another boat, and we're good to go.
Yep.
So,
okay. I always think about that for a first-time boater. I remember sitting down and doing the ordering process, and you may know, I sold Harris for the whole time I was selling. We had that line, but have been through that process. And there's just, you go down the build sheet, or you're going down on the build a boat, and you're like, what exactly is the P1 sports tube? How does that different than the P3 sports tube? If you don't have a good salesperson helping you through it, and some of them you're like, well, you can't put this with that, and you have to, the difference between the high back recliner and the low back recliner, and how, is it worth it? That was a question I answered all the time. You've got to just go slowly, I think, and ask the questions to make sure that you're making the right choice.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, one thing you said, having a great salesman, we were very fortunate. Like I said, from the very first, he was the first phone call I made when we were talking about boats, and having that great salesman to tell you, yeah, like you said, the difference in just adding the sport package or the full third tune, or what motor can go with this, or do I need to add that? Because you'll get some dealers that, oh yeah, you can do A, B, C, D, and G, and we're going to take you up $20,000, and you don't need half of it.
Yeah.
Or they're going to tell you, oh yeah, you don't need this, you don't need that, and you get out on the water and you're not happy with the way your boat's performing because you didn't add this, couple $100 or $1,000 $2,000, whatever upgrade it might be.
Yeah.
And like you say, again, that having a great salesman goes a long way.
Do you want to mention the dealer that you bought?
The dealer we use is Sea-Ray of Cincinnati.
Okay.
They are right down on the Ohio River. I mean, you walk out the back and, in 10 feet, you're down the cliff into the water.
Okay.
We looked at, like I said, we looked at dealers from basically Detroit all the way down to Lexington, and all the way over to Indianapolis, even into Western Pennsylvania, just making phone calls, talking about, different boats, pricing and stuff like that. And, I had some great salesmen that I talked to along the way. I had some not so great, oh, here's your price, let me send you an email type thing. And you could definitely tell the ones that want your business and the ones that could care less, because either their volume is so great that they don't need everybody. They want that guy's going to come in and drop that stack of cash on their desk and walk out with the fancy boat with all the bells and whistles.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I know the GM there at Sea-Ray of Cincinnati, actually, Ed. So I'm familiar with them, and they'll take great care of you. So that's awesome. Yeah. As you went through the experience and now you're getting ready for delivery in, it's going to go in the production December. So what do they say? A 60-day, 90-day build?
We start build on the 13th, which is a Monday. So I don't know how, they always say you don't want nothing to build on Monday or Friday, but we'll roll the dice to see what happens. And yeah, he said, we've been told somewhere around the end of January to middle of February.
Okay.
With end of February, early March, not being out of the realm, just depending on, supplies and weather and stuff like that. So
yeah. Okay, good. Well, that's good to know. A real life build process currently is not too far off.
Yeah.
A normal flow of
Mhm.
60 to 90 days. So that's perfect. Any other advice that you have for pontoon shoppers specifically? And did you know right out of the gate that the pontoon was the right style for you all?
Yeah. Yes, because we wanted that big wide open deck. A lot of more, the stability was the biggest thing, especially for my wife. She didn't want something, V nose and stuff like that. The deep holes, they're great for certain people. She was not one of those. She wanted something that was a little more stable, wasn't going to have that rocky motion all the time.
Yep.
And where we're going to be at, what we wanted to do, the space we wanted to have, the pontoon was definitely going to be the boat for us right off the bat.
Did you all have, and I don't want to get too personal here, but the dealing with the husband and wife and maybe some different attitudes about money, different attitudes about options and what's important to one and what's important to the other. How did you have those conversations with your wife as you were going through the process? Because I'm sure there was some back and forth of, I've got this opinion, you've got that opinion, and how do we come to a final conclusion? Any advice there?
Yeah, the first thing we did was kind of sit down, and it was, let's get some quotes first, because we just kind of wanted to see where we were going to be at in the realm of pricing.
What's the ballpark look like of where we want to be?
Exactly. Yes, and that's where we started at. So that was a good first stepping stone for us. Was okay. I knew where we could comfortably be financially, but then it was okay. Let's see if that bubble of our financial window met up with what we wanted in a boat.
Yep.
And we were very fortunate. So yeah, some of them got a little bit higher, and it was like, okay, that might not be the boat for us, or we can, get rid of option A, B, and C. But when we settled, we were very comfortable where we were at. As far as options, we were both the same way. It was more of, we wanted a big deck. We wanted the swim platform off the back. We wanted the ski tow bar, the ladder built in. Which was great because that was pretty much what the both of us wanted together. The other little, add-on options was more of a luxury thing. So for me, the high back helm seat, that was a more of a me thing. We upgraded just some other minor stuff, the steering. And for the most part, that was it. Just some minuscule things, more of a comfortability standpoint than it was a necessity standpoint. So yeah, I was very fortunate. My wife was, as long as we've got A, B, and C, the kids are happy, I'm happy. We can add a little bit, take a little bit here or there. And that's what it was. So yeah, the biggest thing I can tell people is, make those first couple phone calls, kind of get, an idea of where you think, what do you think your boat with all the options you want is going to cost? And then sit down and go, okay, here's where we can be at, without starting a fight. Cause I know how that goes. I think, most married couples do, and just get yourself that, financial window of where are you comfortable at, for the next 10 or 12 years, however many years you're paying for your boat. What do you want to get out of the boat and go from there?
Yeah, that's great. And I like the getting your budget and then getting that ballpark figure, not necessarily exactly what we're going to do. And it's what I teach in the First Time Boat Buyers Academy is budget first, what is comfortable for you. And then what exactly would we get? Does that match, or do we need to make some adjustments, one or the other, whichever one makes the most sense, or a little bit of both? What did you find? I assumed you built a boat online. What did you find from the build-a-boat price to the actual price that they were quoting you to buy that boat in this market? Were they similar? Were there some discounts?
Believe it or not, most of the build-a-boats were higher than what I ended up getting quoted from the dealer. Whether the discounts or, I assume some of the build-a-boat stuff is, the markup is different, obviously, in different areas. But yes, all the ones we did, build a boat online, the pricing came in higher. Some of them significantly, $10, $12, $15,000 higher than what the actual quote was that we got on paper from the dealers.
Okay. So as you're looking at that ballpark budget, know that the build-a-boat in most situations, other than Sun Tracker, is this is the price, is the price. And there's some like that. I think Low is going to that now as well. But there's a little bit of room that you're going to have for negotiation. Were you able to negotiate it all on that then dealer price that you got? I don't want to say I pushed awfully hard because, again, I thought I got a pretty good price. Now,
did, after a little bit back and forth, and, again, Harris was given, that first responder discount. So anyway, I was getting a little bit off there. And then, one of the little, I don't even want to call it a stickler, but one of the particular things that we were back and forth was as stupid as it sounds, the ladder off the back. I wanted to make sure that it was going to be sturdy. Again, I told you I'm a pretty good guy.
Yeah.
Go climb up out of the water and this thing's not going to fall apart on me. So we were back and forth a little bit on that, and ended up getting the actual upgraded ladder thrown in. They included that in for us with no additional charge. So I appreciated that. So yeah, did I, beat them up for thousands of dollars? No, but did I get a little bit of something out of it? Yes, I did. And again, just the ease of my salesman and all the questions he asked and the heartache I put him through, give me this quote, that quote. To me, it was worth it to, be at that price, not haggle so much, because he made the buying experience so much better.
Yeah, and it's a balance that again, in the First Time Boat Buyer Academy, I talk about this, but you've got the balance of getting the absolute rock bottom price and just beating them to death versus, hey, they've got to be there for me when I get warranty work and service and all the other things that you're going to go to them for, learning the local water, maybe doing a delivery and training you on the boat some. And there's that balance. Is another $200 off really worth just ticking that guy off where he's going to say, hey, Robert's kind of a jerk. When he comes in for service, just know he's difficult. Exactly. Well, that gets around in a small dealership.
One of those warranty things that might be on the edge, when you've had that good experience, you've not given them a hard time. Hey, we can push this through versus, now, bud, you're in trouble. I remember what you did to me, 8 months ago when we built this thing and you beat me.
Yeah.
Now you're going to pay for this on your own. I will say one thing that just came to mind, that kind of, you asked me earlier, kind of what caught me off guard, something I guess I didn't realize, whereas I see all these other boats, fishing boats, bass boats, all these other, a lot of them come with trailers. Pontoon boats and Tri-Toons, you got to add the I was not, I'm getting all these prices. I'm like, oh, this is bad. And then I look through, it's like, oh, the trailer add-ons, an extra, this many thousands of dollars. I'm like, wait a minute, don't boats come with trailers?
Yeah.
So that was one thing I will say, we kind of jumped around a little bit, pricing out trailers. We did not end up purchasing our trailer from Sea-Ray. We got it from a different dealer just due to, saving a couple $1,000 here or there. But yeah, that was one thing that caught us both, myself and my wife, off guard was, wait a minute, don't all boats come with trailers? Apparently not.
Yeah.
Get ready to purchase. Keep that in mind that, all pontoon boats do not come with trailers.
That's a great point, because there's some that, some are packaged up, boat motor trailer package, bass boats. It's real common. Aluminum fishing boats. It's real common, but pontoons in most areas, they're separate. Yes. And, $4-5 for your trailer. Yep. In that ballpark.
Yeah. It just depending on, you want it single axle, double axle, brakes, no brakes, that sort of thing. But yeah, you're in the, I would say from what I looked at, you're 35 to 55 easily on a trailer. And again, that boils down to, again, brakes, axles, powder coat versus galvanized. That's so.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that is a great point, because that can put you well over your budget. And if you need it, you need it. So you guys are going to trailer the boat. What are you doing for storage? Did you look at storage and insurance and some of those other expenses as you were looking at the budget?
Yeah. And it was, call the insurance company and kind of gave them the ballpark of what we were thinking we're looking at. And, they gave us an idea, which again, very reasonable, about where we were at with our camper, maybe a little bit more. But it was one of those, once you get a whole number and stuff like that, exactly when it comes in, give us a call. We'll give you a hard price. Storage. Yeah. Another thing, whether you're going indoor or outdoor, in our case, where you're going to be, outdoor in the summertime, and then indoor in the winter.
Okay.
Winterized, because again, around here, you're pushing it. October, we've seen snow, especially down in Southwest Ohio even. So yeah, that end of September when we're getting ready to tuck it away, get it winterized, and then it's going indoors until, April or May.
Okay. Awesome. Well, Robert, this has been a great conversation. Anything else that you wanted to share? And I appreciate you volunteering to join me on this for sure and sharing your experience, because I think it's valuable. But anything else that I didn't ask you that you're like, man, I wish I would have known, or I want other people to know, because I think it's going to help them?
Nothing that I can think of that you didn't ask me. I will say again, for those new, purchasers, if you're, brand new to it, even if you've been for years, take the time, watch your videos, the quick YouTube 10, 15, 20-minute ones. so much of a wealth of knowledge that I greatly appreciate and thank you for, for your years of having done it, the ins and the outs, what to look for, what not to look for, whether you're going brand new, whether you're going used, for all those listeners out there, definitely take the time to watch Matt's videos. It's an invaluable tool of somebody who's been in the business for, 20, 30 plus years, to know before you go spend, a nice chunk of money and, adjusting your lifestyle and, to purchase and have fun on and stuff like that. So yeah, my biggest thing is, again, take the time, watch the videos, shoot your emails, ask the questions you need to ask. You've been great about taking the time to answer those questions, the YouTube lives and stuff like that, the podcasts. Yeah, that's my biggest recommendation for anybody is, take the time, watch the videos, do the research, find out what you want, where your budget fits, put your feet in the dirt, go look at boats,
yes,
boats, take your kids and your wife or whoever's going with you to have them climb on the boats and look around and see what's comfortable for them, what's comfortable for you, because, what might be 100% comfortable for you may not work for them. So you need to find that happy medium that's going to be, family friendly, happy for everybody.
Yeah, I love that. Get your boots dirty and go look at boats. One, it's fun, I think, and but two, you're going to learn a lot and you're going to get a real sense for it. Were there any other resources that you went to? Obviously, my channel's got over 230 videos on it now, and those are all free. And just there it is. Take it. Comments I try to respond to. We do the live Q&As every Sunday, but were there other resources as well that you went to that were valuable for you?
Outside of just getting a hold of even the manufacturers and having to send you the brochures and going through some of that stuff, diving into, a lot of them anymore. The Build a Boat Online has a lot of good questions, a lot of good answers. You can do some research and, back to finding a good salesman, finding a good dealer and a good salesman. They're going to, I know my salesman between, myself and him back and forth, there was 50 to 60, even 100 emails or phone calls or even text messages of, hey, what's going to cost to add this? What is this? What is this option versus this option? So yeah, between your videos and, you've reiterated it multiple times, a good dealership and a great salesman are going to make the boat buying experience so much more enjoyable. It's going to take so much stress off of you, and it will make it a significantly smoother process.
Yeah, exactly. And once you haven't experienced this yet, but once you take delivery, a good dealer is even more valuable after the fact too, which with the dealer in Cincinnati, I think you're going to have an outstanding experience. So you're going to get to experience that over the next 6 months to 2 years. So, well, hey, Robert, thank you so much for joining and volunteering to do this. You're not getting anything out of it other than you get to talk to me for a little bit, which I don't know how valuable that is. But
even one thing I said helps the next guy behind me, the next family to buy a boat. Great. Yeah, it's the least I can do, having just gone through and experienced it and, put the work in, and, to do research. So yeah, if one thing I said can help somebody, awesome.
Excellent. And I love the community that's showing up in the YouTube channel. We had another live last night. I don't know if you were on it or not, but, I said something about live wells that was wrong. And Brock, who's going to be on the 10th, said, hey, actually, it's a good thing to have a triangular live well. And I was like, why? And he explained it to me on the live, and it was valuable to have another opinion, and you sharing your experience now. It's going to help more than one person. There's going to be hundreds of people, thousands of people that watch this over time. So thank you very much.